To be here again tonight. Just trying to fix my camera. Okay. Just send the link to the class quickly so we can all be on the same page. Share the link quickly. Awesome. The link has been shared to the class, so just do well to continue, and hopefully they'll join. The student will join. Um, so this is our first class, and in this class we are actually taking the course industrial slash organizational psychology. Industrial slash organizational psychology. This is actually a course on the premise of introduction to psychology, which is treated in 100 level. So this is a continuation of the course, but this is a bit more detailed now. I think I might need to adjust this camera a bit, put this on silent so I don't get distracted. Okay, yep. So I think it's okay this way. So as I was saying, it's a continuation of the course. It's a bit intense now. Then in 100 level for management students, yep, public or business administration. There's this course that is treated. You are introduced to, which is introduction to psychology. So now in your second year in 100 level, second semester in 100 level, so it's going to be part 1 to 2, which is industrial slash organizational psychology. So that's a course we're taking today. So with that being said, let's go into today's business. So scroll down. So this course has about 5 modules, and each module has module 1 has about 5 units, module 2 has about 3 units, and module 3 about 4 units, module 4 about 3 units, and module 5 has about 5 units. So module 1, unit 1 talks about the meaning of industrial slash organizational psychology, which I might have to abbreviate to I/O psychology, which is same thing as industrial slash organizational psychology. Unit 2 of module 1 says recruitment, selection, and placement. We're talking about recruitment, selection, and placement in unit 2, and in unit 3 we're talking about learning and training, and in unit 4 we're talking about performance appraisal, and in unit 5 we're talking about organizational change and development. So with that being said, let's go straight into it. So we have content, which is module 1, industrial psychology, learning and organizational development. So we have meaning of industrial psychology, I think I have to respond to this quickly. So the unit 1, as I was saying, unit 1 of our module 1, we have meaning of industrial slash organizational psychology. So we have the introduction, the objective, the main context, meaning of psychology, meaning of industrial psychology. We have meaning of organizational psychology and basic issues of industrial slash organizational psychology. So we have the goals of psychology, we have field of psychology, then we have a conclusion, and we have the summary. So the third mark assignment and the reference. So now the introduction, we have industrial psychology as a subfield. When we say subfield, there's a field. Industrial psychology is a field in psychology itself. Psychology is the umbrella, then industrial psychology is under the umbrella of psychology. So that's what it means by a subfield. A subfield of psychology dated to the work of some notable writers such as Hugo, Mosterberg, Frederick Taylor, Peter Mayo, Abraham Maslow, and so many others, whose works are focused on the issue of man at work, functioning either as individuals or in groups. Now, the word industrial psychology, from the name, let's just have an overview of what the course is all about. From the word industrial psychology, yeah, in introduction psychology, I have a class I'm taking, 100 level students. In the first semester, I taken the course Introduction to Psychology, and we've been able to establish that psychology has to do with the study of human behavior, the biological functioning of the brain, and why it behaves the way it behaves. So, the bottom line, study of human behavior. That's what we call psychology. So, when I say industrial psychology, that means when we say industrial psychology, that has to do a field of psychology that has to do with the studying of people at work. Talk about industry, definitely. It's a combination of where we have people putting efforts together to achieve one goal, which is working. So we have that as that. So that's an overview of the course, and we have our lives as individuals. Our life as individuals revolve around. Okay, just okay. Live. Just I think let's quickly share this class just once again. So as I was saying, so our lives as individuals revolves around industries and organization, from where we sojourn, from where we live, where we do our day-to-day activity, either as a worker or owners of business to make an ends meet. Now, since the home, church, marketplace, shopping malls, and schools are all forms of organization, there is no escaping the grip of the rules. Definitely, rules that are set to guide the way we behave, the norms set, the dons and the do's and the don'ts that guides the way we respond and behave in gatherings like the church, home, marketplace, the shopping mall, and school. Complex forms, escaping grip of the rule, relationship that range from the very simple to complex form, and conforming structures and processes that are features of organizations. Now, in the same vein, industries are a form of organization, and although they are commonly associated with machines and equipment, man is an important component. No matter how much an industry has its equipment, its machinery, and everything, man can't be taken out of the picture. So now, because of this pervasiveness of industrial and organization, industrial organization psychology as a scientific discipline. So let's establish that IO psychology. Okay, let me just put it. IOP is a scientific discipline. that seeks to study the impact of organization on man. Study at the impact of organization on man and man on organization. So we have that as start. So we have our main content, which is the meaning of psychology. Human behavior holds a lot of charms to all and sundry, meaning that human behavior is very, very versatile. It's something you can't comprehend at a go, to everyone, to varieties of a lot of to varieties. I mean, human behavior is actually, you can't comprehend it at. I mean, you can't have a full of it. So that's just basically what that means. Human behavior holds a lot of charm for all and sundry. Now, philosophers such as Socrates and Plato speculated a lot about human behavior. Okay, I think we have Miss Blessing with us. It's great to have you. I mean, it took almost 11 minutes already, um, but it's good to have you join us tonight. As soon as you join, just do well to mention your name, introduce yourself in the comment section, and we can get on with it. So we have that stats. Human behavior holds a lot of charm to all and sundry. Now we're talking about philosophers such as Socrates and Plato speculated a lot about human behavior. A lot of speculations were made by Plato and Socrates about human behavior, and there are many puzzles as well as several rightly or wrongly held myths. Myths are stories that we are told that we cannot actually validate how true full the stories are. Now, and beliefs about human behavior. There are a lot of puzzles. There are a lot of puzzles. There are a lot of puzzles, as well as several rightly or wrongly held. If I can tell, rightly or wrongly held myths about beliefs about human behaviors. Now, puzzles such as how do we remember things? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Like things that happened I can remember things that happened to me as a child when I was about 4 years old. I can remember as a child. Now, things happened to me as a child. But sometimes you just sit down and you reflect over these things and you wonder, how do humans remember things? Why do we dream? Why is it that you come to bed, you sleep, and the next thing you are seeing yourself in another realm and things are happening? Your physical body is here laying on the bed, but you are still appearing somewhere which your physical body is also there. You appear, you're in the form of your physical body, but your body is actually here. You're lying on the floor, lying on the bed. I mean, have you ever think about these things? How and why do drugs alter human consciousness? Have you ever asked yourself a question? Why is that when we fall ill, just taking maybe medications like paracetamol or maybe malarial dosage, and you notice that you no longer feel it the same way? How does drug alter our consciousness? Have you ever asked yourself that questions? These are the things psychology will explain, puzzles psychologists will explain and break down into bits for your understanding. Okay, I think Miss Blessing is a bit stable now. Miss Blessing, can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear? And it's quite unfortunate that it's almost 40 minutes already. I haven't gone far that much. You can always get the recorded version of the video after the class, but just do well to pay attention and let's tag along, and I believe we are all going to be on the same page. So I am on page 3, which is actually on the soft copy. I don't know if you are using the hard copy. I don't know what page it is on the hard copy, but on the soft copy on page 3, with 1 unit 1, and we are talking about the meaning of psychology. And we've been able to establish that psychology, it has to do with the study of human behavior, the biological functioning of the brain, This course was introduced in 100 level. So basically, you've known a lot of things about psychology, but this is more of the in-depth. And the course is about, you know, psychology, the industry, psychology in as a to study industry. So I don't know if you get that. So we have that as that. So this course is more of industrial psychology, and we've given a definition about the industrial psychology, meaning that the psychology, the combination of the two words industry and psychology. Psychology is the study of human behavior, and that word industry now is more of a gathering of people where they come together to ensure and carry out certain goals. So it's definitely the study of people at work, the influence of industry on human and human on industry, vice versa. So that's just more of an introduction. So let's go into in depth because we actually run out of time. Um, so now we're talking about, there are a lot of myths that have been held, wrongly held myths, and we said something about myth. What are myths? Myths are stories that we are being told or stories that we learned, but we don't know, we can't validate how truthful the stories are. So we have, myths like, puzzles like, how do we remember things as human beings? What will cause someone to take his or her own life via suicide? These are puzzles. And myths like intellectual ability declines rapidly with aging. This is one thing we spoke about in introduction to psychology. It is said that when you grow, your IQ, as intelligent quantum, drops. These are myths like, why does this work? Why does this work like that? People with exceptional abilities are often poorly adjusted to the society. That's very true. If you are very intelligent as an individual, maybe we are in our time and dispensation, we regard professors as the most intelligent set of people. That's the society we find ourselves. So you notice that things that easily attract a regular an average person on the street does not really attract them because they are not fit. Probably they are not fit into the way things are, the social norms of their environment. You understand? So they are not easily drawn to what somebody who is not as intelligent as they are might be drawn to. So we have that as that now. So we have so that's introduction and there's meaning of psychology. So we can then say the term psychology is a combination of two words. The term psychology is a combination of two words. We have psych, which means the mind. Psych, which means the mind, and logos, which means word. Now, the term psychology is a combination of two words. We have psych and logos. Logos, psych in the sense the mind, and logos means word. Word in the sense that spoken word. Now, in the past, psychology is deemed as a study of the mind and mental life, just like we said earlier. At the turn of 1920s, however, many psychologists such as J.B. Watson began to view the mind as something that now JB in the turn of 1920s, I think you should get that down, you should get that written down. In 1920, a psychologist called J.B. Watson, began the study of the mind, and he said the mind is unobservable and difficult to subject to study. Who said that? Psychologist called J.B. Watson. Now, within this same ambit of time, however, within this same circumference of time, Sigmund Freud in 1934 proposed a method for the study of human mind called psychoanalysis. I can remember very well psychological psychology, which is one of the work of Sigmund Freud. He was one that proposed that approach, psychological psychology, which has to do with the treatment of people that have mental disorder. You understand? So here is it saying again that Sigmund Freud proposed the method of the study of human mind called psychoanalysis, analysis of the psycho, which is the way you think, people that have mental, how they can help people that have mental disorder. Now, the implication of which is that both covert, meaning that covert means openly, something done covert, meaning something done secretly, and overt, something done openly, behaves can be studied. Meaning that the behavior of mankind, according to Sigmund Freud, can be hiddenly studied and it can be openly studied. I hope you get that. Now, please do well to let me know in the comment section if you can hear me clearly, and if I am not speaking above your head. Miss Blessing, and also do well to introduce yourself in the comment section so that I can know we are on the same page. Are we on the same page? Now that you're a bit stable, I believe you can hear me. Do well to locate the comment section and say something. Let me be sure we are on the same page so I don't just get to talk and you're not following. Are you there? Okay, while I wait for you to respond, I'll just continue. So we have J.B. Watson. He said the human mind cannot be subjected to a study, so it's difficult and unobservable. But Sigmund Freud in 1934 proposed a method to study human mind called psychoanalysis. Now, psychoanalysis, very true, which is introduced by Sigmund Freud in 1934. Now, the implication of which that both, okay, now, so okay, with modern psychology, according to Koechlin and Roseberg in 2001, is a scientific study. Oh, EPA has done their thing again. So I believe you can see me still. I'm just going to be close to the system. Increase. Yeah, I think we are good. So where was I? So we have modern psychology according to Koechlin and Rosenberg in 2001 is the scientific study of human behavior and mental processes. I think I came across this question in one of the TMAs I solved today. I think you can take this down. Modern psychology is the scientific study of human behavior and mental process, according to Koechlin and Rosenberg, 2001. Now, psychology as a field of study has grown in leaps and bounds. It has grown, it has become versatile, especially in the developed countries such as Germany, Russia, America. Several fields of practice have been identified and classified. There are over 50 fields of practice and some divisions, and by the turn of 20th century, psychology rated as one of the topmost profession in America, ranking in education, political science, and okay, now just take this point down. Psychology has grown, psychology has grown its bands and it have over 50 fields and subdivisions since the early 20th century. Now, that's that. So we have meaning of industrial psychology. Now this is 3.2. We have meaning of industrial psychology. Now we are going into the main thing, which is industrial psychology as a subfield of any initially focused mainly on individuals at work. Just like what I said earlier on, study of individuals at work. How does individuals behave? How do they respond to work? How do they respond to organizational goals and objectives? So industrial psychology is a field, a subfield of psychology which is focused mainly specific. We said something about, okay, Miss Blessing, awesome. It's great to have you join us. Awesome, it's great to have you join us. So not to worry. I believe this is the first, and I'm following also. I believe this is the first class. You understand? Subsequently, you will fit in. I believe you came a bit late, maybe because of network glitches. I assume so. But subsequently, you know how to plan yourself better so you can start together. Because once we are live, and we just have to continue without further ado. But this is favor. I'm using my okay, awesome. You're using your okay. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That you couldn't use your phone. So sorry about that. Maybe it's network or something else. Could it be something else? So let's just go back to the class. We are actually running out of time. So, industrial psychology is a subfield of psychology that focuses mainly on individuals at work. Now, so the principal concern is about the differences of individual at work. Now, we have that as start. Now, it is common to dig around issues such as staffing and training and traditional psychology studies on individual differences, covering intelligence. We said something about individual differences, covering intelligence, personality, sensations. It just has to do with basically so industrial psychology has to do with it's the fact that the subfield of psychology is clear enough, and this subfield is particular about the studying of individual at work. So we leave that at that. Now, meaning of organizational. The name of we said something about I/O in psychology, meaning industrial slash organization psychology. So we said we are going to call anytime I say I/OP means industrial organizational psychology. So now we have mean of we've now spoken about industrial psychology. Now we are talking about organizational psychology. Now, industrial psychology as an academic discipline started with the pioneering work of Mustenberg in 1913, who published his first known book about managing human behavior in industrial organization, and Gilbert. Okay, now just before I go too far into this, now take down those points. Excuse me. Industrial psychology started with the pioneering work of Mustenberg in 1913 when he published his first book on managing human behavior in industry slash organizations. Now, Gilbert and Gilbert in 1917 now, who wrote about the same time as Frederick Taylor reported their studies on motion study. Now, Gilbert and Gilbert in 1917 and Frederick Taylor both reported their study on motion studies. Please keep that point somewhere else as well. Now, by the scope and result from Elthing, I think I need to quickly, sorry about that, my phone is overheating. So now, by the scope and result from Elthing Mayo and colleagues' work in 1930s, it was soon apparent that man's contribution to work is regulated by factors beyond individuals. Equally of note was the application as far back. Okay, we have that as that. So let's just go straight into organizational psychology. Thus, began as a separate field of study, different and independent of industrial psychology. Now, let's establish this. Organizational study is independent of industrial psychology. Organizational in the sense that you get organization from industry. Industry, just like we have psychology and we have O/IP under psychology. We've established that O/IP is a subfield. So we can then say organization is also a subfield under industry. You can get several organizations from one industry. So we have that as that. So it is clear now that organizational psychology is a separate field and it's different from industrial psychology. Now, another influence at this point in this contribution and application of social psychology, now studies to workplace. Now we are introducing something different now, which is social psychology. We've spoken about organizational psychology, we've spoken about industrial psychology, and now we are talking about social psychology. And social psychology has to do with the work environment, the workplace, the study of work environment or workplace. While industrial psychologists were focusing on individuals as at work, organizational psychologists shifted concern to influence of groups and group processes at work. Now, could we then say organizational psychology is the study of individual influence on work, individual influence on work, individual or group influence on work slash work on individual or group influence. Then organizational psychology shifted. Okay, now we're talking about that. So now we've spoken about the three things. We're talking about social psychology, which studies the behavior. I mean the work environment. The social psychology study the work environment, but industrial psychology studies work, people at work, that's industry, but the organization itself now study the influence of people on work and work on people. So I believe those three things have been clearly ironed out. Now, the American Psychological Association, a body regulated the practice of psychology in America. Okay, a body that regulates psychology in America, American Psychological Association, APA. Now, merged the two sets of psychologists into what is now industrial psychology. Okay, okay. So now this is an explanation of what industrial psychology used to be before it was merged. The merging of industrial slash organizational psychology was done by a body called American Psychological Association. I don't know if you get that. So we have that as that. Now the subfield is now simply referred to as I/O psychology. It is one, so it was never, excuse me, I think I have my handkerchief here. So they were never together. They were actually working separately, but it was brought together by the American Psychologists Association. So now we have that as that. Please come again. Umaj. Okay, now the merger, let me use the word amalgamation now. That's the word in government. The amalgamation of industrial and organizational psychology was done by the American Psychological Association, which is APA. Are we together? And this was actually done in the 1990s. So with that being said, let's go straight into it. So we have that as that. Now we have industrial, that's IOP now, also known as workplace psychology, is a systematic and specialized body of knowledge about human behavior in industry. Okay, we're just trying to fortify our understanding of the definition. Now, it is germane, it is important for you to ask this question at this point. What then is work? If this IOP is very particular about workplace behavior, the study of work, the study of human being and work, then what then is work? Now, work is said to be an array of goods and services generated as a result of organized effort. It's called work. Now let me put this in another form. Now, okay, now let me put it this way. Array of goods and services generated as a result of organized effort. Now, the implementation of, okay, now the efforts used in the implementation of goods and services is called work, or the utilization of an organized effort. The utilization of an organized effort towards goods and services. Or you can still say the arrangements of goods and services generated as a result of an organized effort. That is called work. Now we have work involves deliberate use of physical, emotional, and mental energy to produce utility. Work, now the key points here are the deliberate use of physical, emotional to produce what? Utility. I believe that is clear enough. Those are two precise definition of work. So we have what is job, that work. Now we have job. So job, which are organized or deliberately designed group of activities. Now job is a organized or deliberate design group of activity composing of unit of tasks, duties, responsibilities within the context of peculiar conditions and rules which significant among influence or performance give coherent attainment of goal here. let me simplify this. Job can be defined as an organized group of tasks. An organized group of tasks, responsibilities, or duties structured towards the achieving the goals and objective of an organization. I don't know if that is clear enough. Now, according to Cascio and Agonis in 2005, organizations are all around us as businesses, hospitals, political parties, governments, and so on and so on. So we have that as that. So we have basic issues in IOP. Issues like assessment of human attributes, work and job design. Those are the issues, issues that are engage the attention of IOP. Issues like problems, performance appraisal, issues with appraising, how to evaluate the effort of an individual, organizational change and development. We have training and learning at work. We have industrial accident, safety and health. Those are the issues associated with IOP. Now we have goals of psychology. Understanding human from a scientific point of view is the overall goal. Understanding human from a scientific point of view is the overall goal of psychology. Systematic way of doing things. Let's not forget that so-called science. Anything that has to do with systematic way of doing things, that is a scientific process. Now we have one of the goals is measurement of behavior. Now you have to measure behavior. Much of the work psychologists involve measuring of concepts, attributes, the psychological processes, anxiety, learning, all these things has to be measured. Measurements of behavior. Behavior in the sense that how does this person react when this person is faced with issues and you are expected to solve them. That's one of the goals of psychology. It measures behavior. It describes, when you observe something over time. That's why we have, I apologize for the noise. That's a neighbor's dog. I apologize for that. So we have, describing. We have Najua. I'm just trying to draw similarities. We have attributes or concepts that are so measured and classified, identified, and categorized in terms of their salient feature. Now, let me just explain this. When you observe a subject in the sense that introduction to psychology, we made it clear that subjects when it comes to experimentations now by psychologists, their subjects could be animals or human beings, and we said they use animals like mice. They use it frequently. Animals like mice is being used frequently, and we are observing human. Then human can also be a subject. So now describing the subject, when you observe it for quite a while, you'll be able to talk about some salient features. Some salient features. Oh, we have somebody who just joined us, but the person left again. Um, so let's not be distracted anyway. So we have when you describe, before you can describe a subject, that means you must have been observing the subject. When we talk about natural world, Miss Justina, this is not your class, Miss Justina, but you are welcome. You are welcome to join us. But this is actually not your class. This is a 100 level second semester. So and because we are talking about is industrial slash organizational psychology. So as I was saying, when we talk about describing now, over time when you observe a subject, you'll be able to give some salient features about the subject. And I was drawing similar illustration from Nigel Wild. Nigel Wild is one of programs on GSTV where scientists, I think there's a name for scientists that studied animals, the behavior of animals. I think that we did that in our introduction to psychology. There's a name for what that they are called. Okay, okay, so we have so they get to observe them, spend some time with them, then they run documentaries about animals, and that's how we get to even know viewers from all over the world get to know how these subjects, animals, behave in the wild, and that is that. So from the goal, we were talking about the goals of psychology, talking about measurement of behavior. Psychology is meant, measure behavior, describe, you explain, you could then predict. After you do all this, psychology can help predict. After you've explained, it can help predict, and predict. The goal of prediction behavior is underscored by the need of taking decision that will predict, then you control. Another equally important goal is the need to base on prediction behavior encounter frequently occurrence. When you definitely observe something for quite a while as a psychologist, then you might indirectly have the access and power to control it because now you've been able to observe it for quite a while. So we have subfield of psychology. Now we have these are the subfield psychology, just like as O slash I slash OP is a subfield. We have also some other subfield like clinical psychologists. Clinical psychology has to do with maybe a clinic, from the word clinic, hospital. Definitely you need help. You go to the hospital, you meet a psychologist. We have some counseling from the word counsel. So psychology are responsible for experimental psychologists. Experimental psychology are primarily engaged in research using experimental method. Now, his work needs to directly apply on practical problems. The value of his work lies in others finding useful application of his theories and propositions. Now, experimental in the sense that they are just there in the lab or on the field, always experimenting about a thing or two, and they provide practical solutions to practical problems. Like experimental psychologists, we have psychological psychologists. From the word psychological, we have to with the function of the brain. Psychology, for like, it's very particular about the biological function of the brain. We have his focus is issued the bordering on psychological based behavior, so that the brain, the nervous system, and affect behavior. So we have sorry, I just have to. So we have industrial organizational psychology, which is what we are talking about. And we're talking about the principles, the procedural theories, and inside of tackling industrial organizational problem, especially the relate to our human aspect. So I've been talking about social, talk about the environment, such as psychologists who are responsible studying, environment, how human beings are being influenced by the environment and how the environment is influenced on human, has its influence on human. So we have developmental psychologists. They try to understand complex human behavior. Those are the responsibility of developmental psychologists. So we have that as that. Um, Engineering psychologists, from the way the name implies, it has to do with engineering. Anything that has to do with engineering. We have forensic has to do with crime. Anything related to crime, forensic psychologists are. These are actually not, I believe these are actually not new to us, because we must have done this in our introduction to psychology in other level. So we have the military psychologists. This implies the function of military setting in different capacity. We have the counselors, we have the economists, we have the in the use of psychology principles. Now the application, just like we have policing in the 100 level, first semester, where we have how you can apply policing to psychology. You can apply psychology in policing, So we have that as that. So we have general psychology. We have a table down here. Okay, we have some other subfield of psychology, and they are all in the table. Rehabilitation, society for consumer. Psychology is actually a very broad field that we must agree upon. You know, that's why psychology has not one generally accepted definition, just like economics, and that is how it is. So we have our conclusion. IOP offers valuable contribution and repertoire of knowledge. A repertoire of knowledge meaning a fountain of knowledge. Repertoire in the sense that it can't be underestimated, or it can't be, you can have a handful of it now, of man in work situation. Now the ranges of issues conveyed are broad and germane to understanding. Their main is important to understanding prediction and control of human behavior at work. Let's not forget it's all about human behavior at work. So we have tutored mark assignments. So I'm just going to give us just few assignment here. I'm just going to summarize. Okay, let's see what do we have here. You are going online, download or search libraries for the first hand reading and appreciation of the following classical contribution on the field of IOP, writings of Elton Mayo, okay, Maslow, hierarchy of needs theory, Gilbert, okay. Now, this is 1 to 5. Assignment 1. Pick one of these authors or one of these psychologists and write about their contribution. You can choose to write about Elton Mayos, you can choose to write about Frederick Taylor, Maslow. Go online, search for their contribution, their writing and contribution to IOP. So that will be our assignment for today. And in our next class, I hope you would be you'll be punctual next class, so we can take 2 units. So by the next class we can take 2 units and we'll be close to finishing module 1. This particular course have just 4 modules and 5 modules, and we can actually cover this. Actually the standard is to take up a material and finish it in a week, but if you can be punctual, we can definitely take this course. You can go through this course in less than a week. So in our next class, which is going to be next tomorrow, we're taking the units recruitment, selection and placement. So I hope to see you in the next class, and you have to be more punctual so we can go far in our classes. I have to go now. I hope this class has been very helpful and you've gained about a thing or two, and I hope to see you in the next class. Yes, we are ending here for today. In the next class, you joined a bit late, but nevertheless, we'll be ending here for today. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in the next class. Bye bye.